ECU? Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday edition of the program. Exciting show ahead where we'll dive into a little bit of the national picture with college football, the Darion Menza situation. Also, basically a silent ruling that was passed that the college football playoff highest-ranked team from the group of five doesn't even have to be a conference championship anymore. So we'll to make the playoffs. We'll get into that during our second half hour. We will also debut a new segment, Better, Even, or Worse, where we go through each ECU position room starting today, and we see how it stacks up compared to last year. Today we'll do the quarterback room, and we'll tell you why this year's quarterback room is better, even, or worse compared to last year. Or we'll at least debate it a little bit because I think there may be an obvious answer. But we'll get into that during our second segment as well. We'll talk some hoops here. Segment one, it was a disappointing night for the women's team last night, losing to Wichita State. We'll get into that. Also, the men's basketball team has a game versus Rice that matters for the conference standings. We'll get into that too. Today's crew in studio, we have Hoist the Colors intern James Giglio. James, how's it going, my friend?
I am doing well, man. I'm glad to be back after last Wednesday missing the show, but glad to be back.
Yeah, we had our Bucks on the Pond preview last week, and look, you could have joined last week. I don't know how many words you would have got in.
Yeah, it seemed like a crowded show.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll sit out this one.
He's just been sitting there taking in the early Jets offseason, which, by the way, in segment 4, if we have time, I will give James the platform to suggest why the Jets are the worst team in the NFL, which should be fairly easy.
Yeah, that won't be hard.
Philip Pilkinen is back behind the glass with intern Isaiah, who, by the way, we'll start incorporating Isaiah into the show more. I promise, Isaiah, in the coming days as we enter this slow time a bit in the calendar. But Philip is showing him how to run things behind the scenes. Philip, how's it going back there?
It's good. Isaiah accompanied me to the first half of women's basketball last night. He intended to be there the whole time, but he had an intramural quarterfinal game, which he won. So, we forgive him for ditching early. James did stay the whole time, though, and Steven was not there.
I was not there, but you know who was there? My parents and my son Slater. So I was actually, to be fair, I had a legitimate excuse. I was recording the Holton Ayler show from 6 to 7. And that, by the way, is out. Kenny in the chat says, great interview on that. I should do the purple and gold chant with them next time. I don't know if Malcolm – we had a debate on the show whether or not you know how Holton and his crew went on the field pregame and did the purple gold chant?
Yeah.
I don't think Malcolm Gray would be super fired up if I'm down there shirtless doing that before going and covering the game. So, but we'll see.
It could be one of those games where you send James to cover, you sit with your family, and you pay for a normal ticket to get in.
That is true. That may have to be the way to go.
Thumbs up from Isaiah on that one.
We got a lot of interesting ideas for next football season, by the way, that are starting to come through. We'll save one of our off-air conversations. But I was thinking, Philip, maybe like a May or June show, we can have that conversation we were having off-air. I don't know.
Wasn't any of our ideas, by the way.
It was not our ideas. If the person whose idea it was wants to come on and talk about it, they are more than welcome to.
Let's table it till the summer, but it is a good one. Perhaps controversial, but we'll get into that at a later date. All right, so you guys were at Minges Coliseum last night. So I called the last part of the game, and I actually listened on 94.3 The Game, Patrick Johnson on the call, and it just seemed like a frustrating night for the ladies. James Giglio, we'll start with you. What went wrong in the team's loss to just being honest, a pretty bad Wichita State team that came in 4-16? So pretty shocking result overall.
Yeah, I mean, if Philip wants to has something different to say, I mean, I feel like they were kind of sleepwalking their way through most of the game. I thought first quarter they were okay. Second quarter they were playing, sleepwalking. And then the end of the third quarter, they kind of turned it on a little bit, ended up taking the lead for a little bit. Early fourth quarter, they kind of kept that momentum going. And then that last 7 minutes in the fourth quarter, I mean, scoring drought, gave up like an 11-0 scoring run. And it just came down to Wichita State out rebounding them, out hustling them, and I feel like it was like one of those reality check games that the Pirates may have needed. And I think they just came into this game not really thinking too hard about 4-win Wichita State.
What did you see, Philip?
I think sleepwalking was a great analogy. This didn't feel like one of those games at halftime you come in as a coach and say, we're going to make this adjustment and that adjustment. It was one of those games you come into halftime, you throw a chair into the wall, you use some colorful language, and you tell them if they don't get their crap together, they're going to be running suicides after, kind of like the U.S. hockey team in the movie Miracle, where he kept saying again. As for the second half, I kind of thought, James brought up a good point. They played better in the third quarter, but when they were still down, I think they kind of started to panic a little bit. Instead of trying to slowly chip away against a team that they were better than, they were kind of forcing it and pressing and a little bit worried that they were down. I think this is a team who has not really had to play from behind a lot this year, and when they have, it's been against teams who are better than them. So, they know they can't just win it all at one time. But this is the first time they've really trailed to a team that they are a lot better than, and it seems like they panicked. So I think this is a game that they can learn from, mature from, and hopefully not get in this situation again, but definitely sleptwalk through the first half.
So my take on it is, obviously, look, I mean, you don't want to drop this game, especially at home with momentum. It is a momentum buzz killer, but I am with you all that maybe they can learn from it. In reality, ECU is not going to get an at-large bid, whether they won or lost last night, to the NCAA tournament. The net ranking isn't there. The schedule isn't there. So, in the grand scheme of things, this does hurt your chance at a potential regular season title in the American, because Rice is still unbeaten at 7-0. It's going to be tough to catch them, though it is possible with them coming to Minji's in a few weeks, although ECU can't afford another slip-up. But I think maybe this is a good thing, because realistically, you're almost in some ways setting yourself up for the tournament. And now you don't want to have many of these games, but I think now when you go into the tournament, and obviously you won't as high of a seed to put yourself in a position to win the tournament as possible. But if you have to play a lower level team, James, you're not – all Kim and Neal has to do is pull up the tape of the Wichita State game and show that they can't take anybody lightly.
No, yeah, they can't take anybody lightly, especially when you have momentum like East Carolina did. And that game was a lot different than their team's first matchup, where ECU was leading kind of the whole way. They never had to play from behind, and they never really had to play with that crazy sense of urgency like they should have had last night. But I think this game, like wins, will be a good stepping stone for the future, and a good way to learn off of, while also building off of the wins they've built up on this previous win streak.
The women will be back in action at Charlotte this weekend, and then South Florida, which is a good conference team to host, and then at Tulane, at Temple. So there's the next four for the women. Kim McNeil's team, with the loss, dropping their, I believe, only their second game in the last 11. So still really good season. We'll see how they respond to a downturn. All right, tonight in Minji's Coliseum, it'll be a 7 p.m. tip-off, guys. ECU and Rice. Last I saw, the Pirates were favored by 1.5. That was, I believe, as of last night. So, winnable game. You look at the conference standings. Rice is one game ahead of ECU at 2-5 in the league. ECU's at 1-6. Look, this is a game. Unless you're an ECU or Rice basketball fan, you're not going to be paying attention to it. But we talked about earlier this week, James. This is almost a must-win. The bottom three teams in the league do not make the conference tournament, and if you lose this one, you're effectively a game and a half. You're 2.5 games behind Rice. If you win it, you're probably at worst, a game or two behind these 3 and 4 teams above it. So basically, if you lose this one, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is weird that we're talking about making the conference tournament.
That's what it's come down to.
I know it didn't seem like that, a couple years ago. But yeah, tonight's definitely a must-win. There's a lot of must-win games down the line. I mean, ECU doesn't have any chance to afford to lose any games down the line. But I do expect them to win tonight. I expect them to build off that North Texas win, which I think was a great win. I was surprised they hadn't beat North Texas since the 80s, Stephen.
Yeah. They played North Texas really well at home the last few times, but had not finished, and then they finally get a good win. I think it helped that they played the game at 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 Central, because it can be a tough place to play, the Super Pit in Denton. And ECU's got some winnable games coming up. Obviously it's been a struggle, and I think Mike Schwartz, the players, would admit to that as well. But you play Rice at FAU. Look, that's going to be tough. They're leading the league right now. But then you have a stretch of Temple at home, UTSA at home, at Rice, Wichita State at home. Those are at least 3 of those games are winnable.
Is there another UTSA game in there?
There is another at UTSA. So, I mean, you have some winnable games here. And tonight, I think, is just a big test of how do you build on what was a good performance. And if you're Rice, they're in the same boat as ECU. They're looking at this as, hey, man, we got to win this one. because we don't want to miss the tournament either. Rob Lanier, their head coach.
Yeah, they're playing with some desperation as well, and that's something ECU can't take lightly, as both these teams obviously want to make the conference tournament. It will be interesting to see how Mike Schwartz and company builds off the previous win. I'm expecting them to win. They've needed a big win at home, and if you remember, Stephen, last year they laid a complete egg versus Rice at home, so maybe that'll be in the back of Schwartz's mind.
What are you hoping to see tonight, Phillip, for the Pirates?
I just kind of want to see them build off the offensive performances they've had over the last 3 games. And, yeah, they haven't had the highest point total, but it seems like the half-court offense has had more fluidity. And when you win a game for the first time in a while, you hope that doesn't go to their head and they get too excited. You know, I think this can go one of 2 ways. You can either stop pressing, knowing, hey, we don't have that hanging over us now, or you can get overly excited and go out there and play almost too loose. So I think some of these changes that have been made, like Jordan Riley brings up the ball in a true half-court offense. Corey Cocker is still the point guard if it's a transition because obviously he's quicker than Jordan. I like how they've done that. I think the offense has benefited from it. I think it's opening up things for other players when Jordan drives, and a lot of those openings have led to points because there have been some threes hit these last few games that were not being hit earlier in the season. So I think you got to build off that and take that to the next level. You've done it with precision. Now can you do it with some precision as well as at a higher volume? We need to see more points scored now. They've proven they can do it, well, I should say. So we'll see what the next step is. And defensively, look, they've guarded the three-point line well the last 2 games. Coach Schwartz said that was an emphasis going into their road trip and continue to do that because I think the defense really has improved.
All right, Kenny Curlin says, will I make it to halftime before I post on X that this team is unwatchable?
I think you will. Halftime, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even though they won the North Texas game, and I watched that, that was a tough watch. Both teams were kind of out of it.
1 o'clock game tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. I do, by the way, like the gold jerseys ECU wore. I think we need to wear those more, like even on the road. I'm kind of over the black unis all the time on the road. So
yeah. Well, something I haven't even said on the air is I am happy Mike Schwartz and staff is wearing suits now.
Yeah. I like the suits. I like that they brought back the Pirate script. I know obviously Schwartz is a Lakers guy, so he brought kind of like a Lakers type feel to the uniforms, and I'm all for it. I just want more purple and gold.
We just don't have LeBron and Luka on it.
Yeah, we need more of that as well. Cameron says, how can Rice be so bad at sports? Don't they have like the 3rd largest amount of money in the American? I mean, as far as a university, they are loaded as a private institution. Now, I just don't know how much of that money they fund sports with. They probably could do as much as they want to do, just given the endowment there. But
historically, they're not the worst at baseball, right?
Historically, they're really good at baseball, and they've been down lately, really for a while now in baseball. So maybe they can get that back. I mean, they used to be a dominant baseball program when I was growing up. Like Rice ECU was one of the premier matchups in the country back in Conference USA. But they've gotten away from that ever since Wayne Graham moved on, and then have struggled to recapture that. And then basketball, they've just been mediocre. And football, they've had a couple of decent years, but there's just there aren't any Rice fans. There's no like culture. There's no sports culture. When I went to Rice for the game in 2023, nobody in Houston cares about Rice athletics. That's just like kind of what it comes down to. Maybe money can make up for that, but they have no fans.
Hey, I mean, they sort their students into houses like Hogwarts, so maybe their club Quidditch team's really good. I don't know.
I will say Rice Village around the university, that was like one of the coolest places I've been to on the road. So like if you're looking for a place to go and just have a good time next time ECU plays at Rice, do it. All right, we got to get a break in. We'll come back. We'll switch gears. We will talk some Pirate football. Better, worse, even. How do we feel about the ECU quarterback room now as opposed to this time last year when Keaton Hauser was running the show? We'll tell you about that and more. This is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh! In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Ahar, matey!
Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday. By the way, tomorrow we are scheduled to have a special guest, Jarrett Osmick from ECU Creative, join us in the studio for a few segments. Been trying to get Jarrett on a while, just to kind of like give some perspective on what all goes into the creative team, the videos, all that stuff. So looking forward to having him in, and he'll hang out. So come prepared with your questions for that. We'll get an update from Jarrett during what is a rare, slower time between some seasons right now. Today we got James Giglio in studio. We've got Philip Pilkinen hanging out as well, intern Isaiah hanging as well, and we're going to introduce a new segment now. Better, even, or worse. We're going to go position by position across multiple days. Today we're discussing the quarterback room. And basically what we're trying to decide is, do we think the quarterback room is better than last year, even compared to last year, or worse than last year? And a lot of this is projection. We don't really know. We won't really know until the season comes and goes, but just kind of a discussion point. So to give some perspective, last year, the quarterback room, I guess technically this time they still had Jake Garcia on the roster, but we're going to
pretend then him and John David Black on the roster.
John David Black. Gosh, that feels like it was like 5 years ago. But yeah, so last year ECU went into the season with Caden Hauser as the clear QB1. They had brought in Mike Wright later in the offseason as well. Chasten Ditta was a true freshman. Cole Hodge was a true freshman. You also had Raheem Jeter, who was on the team. So, obviously, things played out. We know Caden had a phenomenal season. as the full-time starter. Chasten showed flashes, and Mike Wright really didn't end up playing much quarterback at all. He was more of a gadget guy. This year, as it stands today, you've got 4 scholarship quarterbacks. They could potentially add one after spring ball, but right now, Emory Williams was added from Miami. Mitch Griffiths was added from Texas Tech. You also have a pair of freshmen. Cole Hodges, the one returning quarterback as a redshirt freshman now, and then you've got a true freshman from Spartanburg and Trey Burke, who is just into the program. So, better, even, or worse? We'll kind of go around the horn, and then we'll discuss it. And you guys can take this any direction you want. I won't, feel free to throw out your true opinions, feelings out there. It is kind of tough because we know what Caden Hauser is and was, and now we don't really know what these other guys are. But I'll start with you, James. Do you feel the quarterback room is better, even, or worse compared to last year?
Yeah, like you said, it is tough to project because we haven't seen these guys with our new offensive coordinator and the new offensive staff. But I'm going to say even because last year we had Hauser, who was the solidified starter. There was no question about that. And then kind of the backups were kind of whatever. Dida and Mike Wright. Mike Wright, again, didn't play that much quarterback. But this year you have 2 guys that I think can legitimately be up to Caden Hauser level, to what he was. So it just depends on who wins the starting job. I'm going to say even for now, only because it's so hard to project what these guys are going to do. I mean, it's going to be easy to say a year from now when they've played a full season and, hopefully they've gone 10-2 and gone to the conference championship, whoever is the starter.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say even for now.
Philip, how do you feel about this?
I think the ceiling is probably higher. But on paper, right now, as we sit right now, worse. Last year, you had a guy who had started in your program and won football games and won a bowl game. You had a guy who came in who had started in the SEC, started in the Big Ten. Yes, he was a gadget guy, but you could figure it out and piece some stuff together if you had to start him because he's high enough football IQ. Right now, you've got 2 unproven guys. I think Emory Williams is probably more God-given talented than Caden Hauser, but still, he's got 2 starts. And Mitch Griffiths started some at Wake, but that was a bad Wake team, and it didn't go well. I think this offense will suit him better, but on paper right now, worse.
Robert Dedrick says quarterback room is equal, potential to be slightly better. So I think both of you guys make good points. I just think, for me, look, Caden Hauser last year, if you could guarantee the combination of Mitch Griffiths or Emory Williams or one of them would go out this season and go 66% completion percentage, 3,300 passing yards, 19 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 9 rushing scores, you would take that 100%. So for me, it's could one of them go out and have a better season than that? It's possible. I just think, and I do think Emory Williams is a better prospect potential-wise for the next level, just given his size and arm strength, than Caden. But, Caden has done it. He's proved it. And like Philip said, he kind of was an established guy. Now, even all that said, he still was not an all-conference quarterback. I mean, now a lot of that had to do with Mestamaker and some of the other guys that were better in the league. But I think you have to say worse just because you don't have the proven guy. But I do agree with you guys in that, if Williams hits or even if Griffiths ends up being the unexpected guy to kind of take it to the next level, it would not shock me. I do like that ECU – I feel better. Maybe the better question would be in 2020, going into 2024, I was pretty uncertain about Hauser and Garcia. Garcia hadn't even played in however long. He was coming off surgery. I kind of feel better about this year's quarterback competition than I did about that year, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I feel like the upside's better.
I think also having Blake Harrell as the coach
over
Mike Houston helps a little bit, but.
And the unknown is just how does this all look with Jordan Davis? I wrote this morning online. It's that year there was a lot of intrigue going into 24, but you were also coming off 2-10.
Mm-hmm.
There are parallels. You just hire a new OC, John David Baker that year. This year, Jordan Davis. You had the quarterback competition. But I feel like this year, James, there's much more anticipation and maybe hope around this quarterback deal because you're coming off back-to-back really good seasons.
Yeah, you're coming off back-to-back good seasons, back-to-back bowl wins, stability at head coach, and it just kind of feels like this coming year, could be the year for ECU to go to the conference title. We've talked about it. I've talked about how I think their schedule in the American is pretty favorable. I'm right now predicting, I said in my way too early, 10-2 losses to Alabama and Memphis on the road. So obviously when you come off a 2-10 season, they're going to be like, okay, like it can't get any worse, but who are these guys playing quarterback? This year you're like, okay, we need one of these guys to be well so we can keep this momentum going.
I am a little, I guess if I had to say, concerned about the drop-off after Griffiths. Now, Cole Hodge may take a big leap this spring, but you kind of pointed to it earlier, Philip, like you can't really add – I mean, you can add somebody post-spring, but you're not going to be able to go out and add a perfect QB3. So, I mean, ideally you would have our guy Ditta back. He chose to move on. But the depth of the room does worry me a little bit because Trey Burke's a true freshman. Like, you can't really count on him, I don't think.
I get what you're saying because historically in college football, you've got 5, maybe even 6, because of the way it works with 4 years of eligibility and guys aging out and all that. But let's be honest. There is no team in the country, including Ohio State, that probably feels good if they're on their third-string quarterback. So, yeah, 4 is the least amount of bodies we've probably seen in the room. But at the end of the day, once you get past 1 and 2, it probably doesn't matter anymore. There are some special examples of this. Alabama with Hurts, Tua, and Mac Jones all on the same roster. But for the most part, especially in the era of the portal where guys are constantly moving around, again, most teams only going to trust 1 and 2 anyways. Yeah, it stinks to have 4. I'm way more worried about that at practice. You get 2 guys hurt. You only got 2 guys at practice. How are we throwing the balls to all the different receivers and stuff? Look, at the end of the day, look, if Griffiths and Williams both go down, I'm worried regardless of who the third string is.
Yeah, most teams, you lose your starter, you're going to be in bad shape. You lose your second string, I mean,
season's pretty much over.
Season's done. That's just football. Joel says, are we comparing the January 2026 quarterback room to the January 25 room? Because Caton had not had his 2025 season in January. He finished 2024 pretty solid, but touchdown-interception ratio was 18-11 and 24. I would say we're comparing it. Maybe I wasn't super clear. Basically, what you got last season, the end of last season to now, is it better, even, or worse? And I would say, like, because of Caton's production, you have to say worse, but at the same time, I was just comparing it to the situation in 24, just because we don't know realistically what Emory Williams and Mitch Griffiths are going to be. I mean, quarterback is such an inexact science to me because think about all the people that get paid millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars to evaluate quarterbacks at the NFL from college, and they get it wrong all the time, James. So it's like, I like that they took 2 because that gives you 2 swings. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of have to just throw him out there. I mean, as great as we think JDB is, he picked Jake Garcia over Caton Hauser. Like, it's just...
Well, was that him or Mike Houston? That
I think both of them did, from my understanding.
It was a collective. Yeah, I mean, it is a tough business, and there's only so many quarterbacks on the planet, right, that are going to be what you want. And, I mean, there's not even 32. I mean, if you think of the 32 starters in the NFL, not all 32 are pretty much NFL caliber starters. So it's a hard position to scout. It's the most important position in football. And there's a reason why they get paid millions to do it in the pros and now in college.
And I think a lot of it is you cannot measure it sounds lame, but the it factor. Like, at the end of the day, your quarterback needs to have the it factor because when the game's on the line or when it's 3rd and 5, 4th and 2, like your teammates, everybody's just got to believe we got the guy at quarterback. Mm-hmm. And the quarterback has to believe it too. Sometimes you just need a dude who just knows how to make plays and is clutch. And you can't really measure that until they just go do it in a game, Philip. So that's like we've seen some of it with Mitch and some of it with a degree to Emory Williams, and that does give me a little bit of encouragement. But now they have to come do it here in a new system, so to speak, and with new teammates. And that's the thing you can't really quantify until it starts to kind of unfold it on its own.
100%. I think this whole missing on quarterbacks thing is missing the it factor. I think Ryan Leaf is a talented quarterback and had the God-given ability to be an NFL starter. He was a freaking head case. He didn't have the it factor late in games. There are guys who really don't have a crap ton of arm talent who've made pretty good NFL careers because of their attitude, because they have the it factor, and because they get put in systems that help them. Look at this system and the situation David Carr was put in with Houston and how the NFL messed up that expansion draft and pretty much just gave him a horrific team, put him in a terrible situation, and it ruined a guy who should have been a decent NFL starter. So it's all about your coaching staff. It's about putting these guys in a position to win based off their talent, putting the team around them, and then, like you said, once the ball gets rolled out there, do they have what it takes? And I guess we gonna find out.
Shores with our final question before we get a break in. He says, is the job Emory Williams to lose, or do we think it will be a legit quarterback competition in camp? Well, first you got to get through spring ball. Just covering these things long enough. Unless Williams just goes out there and dominates or Griffiths goes out there and dominates, I'd be shocked if they name somebody by the end of spring. I think you take it into camp and you just promote that competition. But, I would label Emory Williams the front runner. I do think it'll be a legit competition, though. I don't know, James, how do you feel about the timeline? When would you like to see one named?
Yeah, I don't expect one to be named at the end of the spring camp. I think, like you said, going into the fall would probably be best just to promote it. That's kind of what they did with Garcia and Hauser, and hopefully they don't end up picking the wrong guy like they did a couple years ago. So we'll see.
I'm with you, James. It probably won't happen at the end of spring ball, but I would like it to.
Yeah, obviously you want it to.
Yeah, I'd like to go into camp and those guys know who's getting the number one reps. But I hope in spring ball they do give both guys a shot. Like I said, I think Williams is the front runner, but give Griffiths the fair shot and split the reps 50-50, see who emerges, and go into camp with the starter and a backup and see what happens.
And there is that, unfortunate fear of, like, if you name a guy, does the other guy get ticked off and leave, even though the portal's closed? I mean, Mitch Griffiths at Marshall did leave, but I think he's talking to him, even if he were to be named the second guy, I think he would still be bought in. I think ECU is paying both of them pretty well. So, like, you'd be forfeiting your salary at that point. I mean, these guys are not official employees, but they're getting paid to play. So if you walk away from that, you're walking away from a salary as well. So those are our thoughts on the quarterback competition. Again, to kind of recap, better, even, or worse, I think James went even with the caveat of obviously potential for these guys. And Philip and I are more on the worst train just because of the unknown, but certainly the potential for more, which makes these conversations always interesting and where they can go a lot of different directions. We'll get a break in. When we come back, we'll dive into the situation with Darian Menza reaching a settlement with Duke, and now he's on his way to Miami to take Emory Williams' roster spot. And also the college football playoff. ECU could make the playoff next year, guys, without even winning the conference championship. We'll tell you how they can do that on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. from your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Welcome back into the show, Hoist the Colors, on a Wednesday edition of HTC. James Giglio hanging out, and Philip Pilkington behind the glass. Also talk with intern Isaiah about the receiver room for ECU. Maybe we can get Isaiah on for when we go receiver, better, worse, or even. Because I think that'll be a fun discussion because I like the depth of the room, but do they have a top dog?
Let's I guess we'll go receivers Monday.
Yeah,
we'll do that. Do we have a guest for Monday or no?
We do not as of now.
Okay.
We have you.
All right.
Are you going to be our guest Monday?
Sure.
There you go. Philip Pilkington, confirmed guest for Monday, Reaction Monday. All right. The Darian Menza, is it Darian or Darion? I always mix it.
I think it's Darian.
Darian Menza situation, I guess, has been resolved. He reached a settlement with Duke, and they allowed him to enter the portal. And then, of course, by God, he showed up at Miami for a visit. What a surprise.
That was random.
Yeah, right away. It's almost like they had it planned the whole time. And he committed to Miami along with one of Duke's top receivers. So, I mean, we'll get James's take first. I've got some things to say about the state of college football in general, but your thoughts on just, like, I guess nothing surprises me anymore with college football with this stuff. What'd you make of the whole Darian Menza situation?
I mean, yeah, I don't even know. There's really no words for it at this point. It's just like you got to expect everything at this point in time in the college, not even college football world, just the college sports world, because in college basketball, we're going to have NBA players coming back to play soon. But with Darian Menza, I mean, obviously Miami was tampering. Clearly they were obviously tampering with him and probably the Duke receiver. They're like, oh, we'll get you in a package deal, whatever. Mensa's going to have a bigger role, or not a bigger role, but a better chance to win a national championship at Miami. And I guess good for him. And I didn't really see too much about the settlement. Like, I don't understand how Duke kind of let him out of that. Like,
no details are really.
Yeah, I didn't see any real details on it. So it's definitely a weird situation. It's also weird that he initially decided to stay. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to stay," and then he make a big post about how he was staying with the Blue Devils or whatever, and then 2 weeks later he's like, "I'm super grateful for my time at Duke, but I'm going to enter the transfer portal." So it's just like, I don't know. I feel like there needs to be some sort of restriction. There definitely needs to be some sort of restrictions on, one, how many times you can transfer, and two, if you do transfer, you may need to sit out a year. I liked that back in the day.
Philip, you are a Duke guy. Now, it looks like they've added Walker Eget, who, by the way, he needs an extra year of eligibility just to play, from San Jose State. What does this leave the situation with at Duke? They were kind of, look, they were pretty much, just, there's not much they could do here outside of maybe taking Emory Williams from ECU at the last minute. Like, there were very few options. Menza left them in a terrible spot. So how was their outlook, and what do you think about them settling with Menza?
I don't know what the settlement exactly is, so I can't, totally, speak on that. I guess the thing is, though, with Menza is hopefully the settlement's getting Duke some financial compensation, as opposed to if Menza just didn't play for anybody next year, Duke would probably get nothing out of it. And they sure as heck didn't want him back in Durham. With that being said, it leaves Duke in a really tough spot because Duke never contacted anybody in the transfer portal because they had a quarterback under another year contract. Like if you had, Tom Brady under contract for next year, are you going to go out there and start hunting quarterbacks in free agency? Hell no. And so the issue was not that he did it. I mean, it's still an issue that he did it, but the fact that he waited till like 5 p.m. on the last day to do it. So, whatever happens on November the 14th happens. If there's a few targeting calls, I'm willing to sacrifice a guy being suspended for
Where
the
is
first
that
half of
game
next
being played?
In Coral Gables. Gosh, I
Oh.
wish it was in Durham.
Oh.
Would any Duke fans actually be there, though?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if Duke fans are.
I might be taking off that day if that game was in Durham.
The revenge game last year didn't work out too well for Menza as he lost to Tulane. So
True.
We'll see how this one goes. Yeah, look, here's the thing with college football. For me, we had the DeMond Williams situation. Everybody was like, oh, this has got to be the breaking point. This is ridiculous. Obviously, he ends up going back to Washington, but still, it kind of showed how stupid all this is. Now we have this situation. It plays out. We have the Clemson-Ole Miss situation. Every time one of these things happens, it's like, oh, this is the end. Something's got to change. Nothing's going to change because the conference commissioners and the college football playoff, they just want to keep making money.
I was say all they care about is money. Yeah.
They just want to keep making as much money as possible. And I'm starting to realize that, they're fine dealing with these little headaches from their vantage point. Like, oh, yeah, that probably shouldn't happen, but you know what? We're still going to be making maximum revenue. And let's just keep raking in the cash until somebody comes in from, a legislative level with the government and makes it happen. To me, the college football playoff and the conference commissioners are not going to – they're not going to change anything until they absolutely have to unless it's forced upon them. So that's kind of been my realization over this offseason. The coaches and the players, I think they would like to change something. But at the end of the day, they don't really have that much power. This is the only conference commissioners, the presidents of the schools, and the college football playoff. And I just think they are so happy making their money as maximum amount as possible. They don't want a collective bargaining. They don't want to make these people employees because then that takes money out of their pockets.
No, I disagree. I don't think they're the problem. The problem is the NCAA. You're the governing body. Govern.
They're pointless.
Why in the hell are you letting everybody? Everything you said is right, Stephen. But why are those people in charge of making the decisions? They're not the governing body. They're representatives. They're representatives of their conference. They're representatives of their university. That would be like there being no NFL central office, but Jerry Jones, the Packers ownership group, and the Steelers ownership group, the biggest 3 fan bases in the NFL, are running the NFL, and the other 29 owners are just kind of sitting there hanging out, and there's no governing body. That's what it would be like. The NCAA is frauds. Everybody who's in the NCAA office needs to be fired. They're morons.
And I agree 100%. That's why I almost don't even factor them into the equation anymore.
Yeah, the
they're relevant.
NCAA has just been a joke for years, Philip. That was a good point. My main issue is players committing to staying, DJ Lagway, committing to Baylor, and then he's like, oh, I'm going to hear out other schools while saying he's committed to Baylor. And then you have Sam Levitt, who recently they're Tennessee's trying to do whatever they can to get Sam Levitt to come from LSU to Tennessee. There needs to be some sort of written thing okay, if this person signs or says they're staying or committed somewhere, then that's it. They're off the market.
A signed contract should mean something.
Right.
But right now it doesn't. We're just there's no rules. Nothing means, the contracts don't mean anything. It's all stupid.
At least last year your butt in a seat at class meant something.
Yeah. Now that doesn't.
Now it doesn't. Look at Hollywood Smothers.
That plus the Ole Miss and Clemson situation. I mean, and I firmly believe that nothing's going to happen there either. Dabo can turn in all his evidence. It's not going to matter. Nobody's going to do anything because the NCAA, at the end of the day, they're scared of getting sued every single time because they keep losing. And again,
they're going to lose every time.
They're going to lose. Yep. It's a sad state of affairs. And again, until the government comes in and institutionalizes some sort of change, I just don't think it's going to happen.
Who stands a better chance to win, the 2008 Detroit Lions or the NCAA in a court case?
Lions. I mean, legitimately. That's how.
Even with Dan Orlovsky running out the back of the end zone.
Yep. Dan Orlovsky. By the way, I go back and forth on him as an analyst. I kind of like him some days, some other days I don't. I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and get our final break in. We got to talk about the G6 playoff change. Also, I want to give James at least a minute to talk about why the Jets are the worst run organization in professional sports. Perhaps we'll do that to close the show after this.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors, with locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow-cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut and color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or
everything you
email
need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment. Got about 7 minutes left in the show. James Giglio hanging out. Philip Pilkington producing as well. Intern Isaiah standing by. All right, guys, so this was reported by Chris Vanini yesterday. Quote, in a previously unreported college football playoff change, the group of six spot in 2026 does not have to be a conference champion. It's just the highest-ranked G6 team, a change some G6 leaders didn't even realize until recently. So we were talking, like, what does this really mean? Basically, let's just run the crazy scenario. ECU beats Alabama next year in the season opener. Greenville's on fire.
Getting crazy. Starting hot.
Yeah. Runs the table. You know, at that point, let's say Bama has a good season. ECU's what? Probably top 10 nationally? I would think at least.
If they went 12-0 with a win over Alabama.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, they'd be top 12. They'd be top 12.
Yeah, so like if they were, let's say they made the conference championship, played a 9-3 Navy or a 9-3 Army, a team that runs the option. I guess they'd be 9-2 because they wouldn't have played the Army-Navy game. Regardless, you lose that game, but Army and Navy are unranked, or whoever you play is unranked. ECU drops to like 19. Let's say Navy rises to 23 or something. I don't know. I'm just running a scenario. ECU could still make the college football playoff. Now, that would depend on what the other leagues do as well. But that's just like a scenario. And you brought up the point, Philip, of Boise State a couple of years ago when they were dominant. And now they did lose to Oregon, but it was like it would be kind of similar to ECU losing a close game to Alabama and then having a really good season, but not winning the championship. So I guess that just makes a possibility of that scenario coming to play.
What it's doing is it's protecting the NCAA and the college football playoff committee from having the same thing happen this year. Because to that point, and what James was saying there during the break is, had Boise lost, they still would have been top 12. Probably would have been top 10 still. They probably only would have fallen had they lost UNLV to 7 or 8. So they would have gotten in, and UNLV would have gotten in for being the highest ranked conference champion. This is protecting. This is another way to keep there from being 2 group of 5, group of 6 now schools in. That's the whole reason for this. This isn't protecting, hey, you've had a good year. You shouldn't be punished for losing your conference championship game. No, they could not care less about what happens to the group of 6. This is protecting their own rear end.
Yeah, do you have any thoughts on this, James? I mean, I guess it could be an advantage or a disadvantage depending on what type of season you have.
I feel like Philip makes a good point there that the NCAA is just doing whatever they can to avoid 2 group of 5 or group of 6 teams in the playoff, because the first year of the 12-team playoff, they had the threat of UNLV and Boise State both making it. UNLV end up losing in the conference title game. And then this past year, they have 7-5 Duke win the ACC. So they were pretty much forced to put James Madison and Tulane in 2 group of 5 schools. They end up both getting blown out in the first round. I mean, I just feel like it's just it has to be such a weird, specific scenario. Like if you tie it to ECU, if ECU lost if ECU was 11-1 or 12-0, and they lost in the conference title game to a 10-2 Tulane team, I feel like Tulane would end up still be ranked higher than them. So,
yeah, that's if you play a good team in the championship, you would think more than likely that team is going to jump you, unless it's just a drastic scenario like you are top 5 and lose. I mean, it would just take a unique scenario for it to kind of play out like this. Joel in the comments says, "Is the top ranked G6 just to clear a path for independent UConn?"
What?
I don't think those things are. I don't think that qualifies. Yeah, I mean, I guess it could play a role, but
I have a serious question though. I know they made the rule for Notre Dame.
Yeah,
is that same rule apply to UConn?
I think it's just Notre Dame. Because
so here's what's going to happen when the committee goes, well, Notre Dame's number 11, they automatically get in. Since they're not in a conference, they count.
Yeah,
and then they get no G6 teams in. That's some crap they'd pull. They won't, but wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, man? And that's the thing. I mean, if you're UConn and you have a crazy good year, then the UConn could end up, could end up suing college football.
Yeah,
playoff.
what if UConn goes 11-1 next year and is number 11 in the country, and then they get left out of the playoff, and then that just turns into a lawsuit. I don't.
Every year is just going to be more lawsuits and more rules.
It's just
changed.
such a mess. Yeah, I don't know. Let's go back to the BCS.
As much as I hate the BCS at one point, I'm kind of there. I'm kind of there. Jerry Vick says, "I think that's a great advantage to the American, as we are the most respected G6 conference, keeps them from being forced to take a Sun Belt team." So, I mean, that is the thing too. The problem with these rankings is you're relying on a human committee. They could have major bias and just rank one conference ahead of the other, and no matter what happens, that conference is going to keep moving up the polls, because even if they beat up on each other, it's going to go, oh, well, that team beat a ranked team. Some of this is all subjective, but at the end of the day, the good news is there's still a path to the playoff for East Carolina. If ECU has a special season, they can still make the playoff, and that to me gives me that little ounce of hope.
Yeah, it gives you some optimism going into football season. I mean, obviously Alabama more than likely is a loss. I like the rest of their non-conference.
Yeah.
App State, ODU will be tricky. We talked about that on the road. ODU, honestly, kind of a similar team to ECU, so that'll be a kind of a trap game. But the rest of their conference schedule, man, favorable.
Here's the good news. If ECU does go 11-1 or somehow 12-0 with this schedule, I mean, you wouldn't only be talking about playoff appearance, you could be hosting a playoff game. I mean, with this schedule, you could be top 8 would host?
Top 7, I think.
No, 5 through 8, yeah.
Yeah.
Or 5 through 8, yeah, you're right, because the top 4.
On campus playoff game in Dowdy Ficklen. Let's do it. That would be electric.
That timeline's out there somewhere.
Return game from Alabama after the season opener loss. How about that in the playoff? All right, James, you have 1 minute to talk about the New York Jets. Why are they the worst franchise in sports?
Poorly run, bad luck. That's pretty much it. I mean, you have no luck. You have Woody Johnson as your owner.
Did they give up on Sam Darnold too early?
Yes, absolutely. They gave up on Sam Darnold too early. Phillip mentioned David Carr not having a fair shot. Sam Darnold never had a fair shot with the Jets. He had Adam Gase and Robbie Anderson to throw to. So, for Adam Gase was his coach. And, I mean, I've already accepted that the team's on 0-17 watch next year. And we're coming up on the longest playoff drought in sports because I think the Sabres in the NHL are going to make the playoffs this year, which would put the Jets at number 1. So,
as somebody who went through a 20-year playoff drought with Seattle, it is not fun. The Mariners, that is, it's a tough life, man. So it'll happen one day though, and it'll be super sweet when it does.
It does, yeah.
All right, James, appreciate you joining us, man.
Yeah.
Check out James. He'll be in Minji's tonight.
Oh yeah,
covering
I honestly completely forgot about that.
with Peyton Brady for Hoist the Colors, ECU and Rice going at it. Phillip, thanks to you as well. Tomorrow we will have Jared Osmick from ECU Creative in studio. We'll get kind of behind the scenes look on all that goes into producing much of their social media content. Should be a fun conversation. We'll also recap ECU Rice as well. This has been Hoist the Colors.